What's up, everyone? This is Bacon, and today I want to talk about the Starlit Dream event that is going on. It just opened up, and basically, this page I think is really cool visually. I think it is just helpful to give you, the quick information about how a hero works. It doesn't get into the nitty gritty that you get with the portrait details. Kind of lays it out. I like this. I hope they continue doing this with new heroes in general, not just Celestials. I think it's probably just going to be with her and maybe other Celestials or Hypogenes that they release, just because they're a little more special. Whereas the normal faction heroes just kind of get tossed in the Destiny summons, and that's just kind of where they're left to kind of rot. But anyway, I want to talk about this because the big thing with this event is the deals. So you get a free 50 whole diamonds. They're going to do a lot with that. And then you can basically purchase your way up a ladder to get more copies of Selene. So with $10, you get a copy, some resources, diamonds, scrolls, purple essence, and then you get some free 2 more summons, 200 more diamonds, and then if you spend 35, you get 2 copies of her, 2,300 diamonds, so on and so forth. You can see this stuff, and you get that for free. And then the final one is 3 copies of Selene with 8 stargazing cards, 6,400 diamonds, and then these as well for $100. Now that's pretty steep. So the question that I want to answer here, or at least give my advice on, is should you spend the money on Selene for these copies? Well, first of all, if you end up getting all that, and say you pull your 10 stargazing cards and you don't get anything, you would end up with having her, and I'm just showing this as a visual, you would have her one step farther than legendary. There should be a legendary plus, because you need 6 copies to get a hero to legendary plus. So that's what you would get her to. So you're not going to get her super far built out, but you do get her, a decent way for a Celestial. Now, I think she's a hero where you're going to want to get her to A3, probably A5, honestly, with these heroes, but A3 is a pretty nice little spike for her too, along with A1. All of her A1, 3, and 5, I think, are pretty solid. But should you spend this? If you have watched my channel for a while, you'll probably know the answer to what I'm about to say. And my answer is to probably wait. People are going to be messing around with her. There are whales who are building her out, testing her out. And then they're going to kind of give their feedback on whether or not they think she's worth investing in. I personally have heard from a few people who have built her out some or tested with her that she is good in certain areas, good in campaign, good in those kind of scenarios, but others she doesn't kind of reach the mark where she would be as viable, like PvP, for example. I've heard that she is pretty good with Mauler's comps, so she could be slotted in there somewhere. But for example, if you put her in a Wilder comp PvP team, she just doesn't make sense to put in. She's not a better option than what's already in there. So that's the problem with some of these heroes that are really good, just not quite good enough, where they kind of fall right below the top tier heroes, and they just aren't worth using because you have the top tier heroes. Now, the caveat to that is she's a Celestial, so she'll probably slot into a lot of different places in the future as new events come out, new things come out in the Dark Forest, Arcane Labyrinth. Who knows what that'll look like, if it'll be totally different. There's different game modes that she might be more viable in the future. It also depends on if there's heroes that kind of buff her, make her a better hero overall. There will be some that make her pair really well with her that aren't released yet and could be really solid. Now, getting back to my original question, this event is 2 weeks long, so I would say I would wait towards the end, if you have that kind of patience, to see what the kind of consensus is. If she's good everywhere, if she's kind of good in certain spots, if she's OP in like a few, just kind of seeing where she lands. I don't think there's a rush to really build her out or spend the money, especially because if you do buy all these, you're not going to have her high enough to really make her super viable. So my opinion and best advice, I think, is just to wait, see where she kind of lands as far as the rankings and testing further. And then if you have the money, obviously, maybe buy just the first one or the first 2, or if you have big money, you can buy all 3. It's not my money. So that's my ultimate suggestion. I am curious to know if anyone in my that follows my channel or subscribe has built her out. I'd love to hear your thoughts on her, if she's been good for you or not. But that's my input on this event. There's really nothing else besides this. You can check out her demo here, which is basically what you see by looking at her profile. When you look at the, whatever it's called, the area of trials, arena of trials. And then this is what the portrait does. It goes to the normal portrait. So that is that with her. One other minor notice: if you are not past stage 2-4, you cannot participate. Basically, if you play the game for 5 minutes, you're gonna get past 2-4. So not a big deal there. But that's my thoughts on her. I would wait. I would not buy quite yet. I would give it some time. She might not be as good, or she might end up being really good. But I just think if you're gonna be spending that kind of money, I would wait towards the end of the 2 weeks to see what she where she falls at, and then go from there. I have hope that she will be pretty good. I like her abilities, I like her stats, I like what she does, but only time will tell. And so we will see in a few weeks. But thank you guys for watching. Make sure if you like my video, subscribe below, and have a great day. Peace.